wonderful and heart-centered individuals here. Glad to see you guys here. Some familiar faces, some new faces. Glad to see you guys. Thank you for being here on time and early. This is an information session. My goal is to go over all the different programs that our nonprofit organization has in order to support families globally and things that we are involved with. So I go over those details, some of the upcoming sessions and events that we have for the foundation, and then also ways that you can get involved with it. And then if you guys have any questions regarding anything, I'll be more than happy to answer those as well. So thank you guys and welcome to this. Really briefly, I also would like to make this interactive by having you guys, if you are up for it, share with everyone here who you are and what you do. I know many of you, and I love your presence in our communities, but I would love for everybody else to also know that as well. So if you feel up for it or you're in a place where you can share, please let us know where you are from, what brings you into this session, and we'll go from there. And then if you can't unmute and talk, you can also participate via the chat as well. Okay, so with that being said, um, anybody wants to introduce themselves? I can always have Dr. Mort introduce himself first because I know him really well.
Okay, happy to do so. So I'm Mort Orman. I'm an internal medicine doctor, also an anger and stress elimination expert. And my attraction to this is I'm interested in having families become more emotionally intelligent and changing the way we educate people about emotions today. So that's my one of my missions in life is to dramatically change and simplify the way we teach people about emotions so that they can have more control over their emotions than we see evidenced in the world today.
Okay. And Dr. Mort, what brings you into the nonprofit info call?
that 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 interest in
That part.
helping families and young
Got it.
young children become more
Perfect.
emotionally intelligent and be educated in a better way about their emotions.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. Thank you. Very cool. Sue Ellen, can I pick on you?
Sure, I love being right after Dr. Orman because of extremely similar passions. So I coach healthcare professionals and other young professionals who are starting families,
Mhm.
helping them to move beyond stress and guilt and into calm, clarity, and confidence and connection so that they can thrive and work to build a joyful, secure family life. And why this matters to me is because my background is nursing and mental health and community and school nursing. And I've seen the importance of really helping families create a foundation of mental health.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for what you do
Mhm.
and thank you for being here. Andre, it's good to see you again. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'll give it a try. Hi, I'm Andre Alexander. I'm from the beautiful island of Antigua in the Caribbean. I go by, I'm known as a freedom architect because I'm about helping business owners and executives redesign their business to free up their time, to could live a life of joy and fulfillment. And I see it linking into parents being better for their kids because they have more freedom from the businesses, right? I see a lot of
Mhm.
kids who suffer because they don't have a present parent or parents. I have a background coaching soccer, and I saw it a lot in that area. So that's kind of why it matters to me. I want to help people have more opportunity because I came from a
Beautiful.
good parenting background. And I'd like to see more
Mhm.
people experience that.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you. And I'm glad to have you here with us today. Someone who's newer to our community, but I'm very excited to have met earlier is Joshua and Cindy. I'm excited to have you as well. Joshua, if you want to introduce yourself, and then Cindy, last but not least, I'll have you go as well.
Yeah, of course. My name is Josh Mermelstein. I'm originally from Costa Rica, but have been living in New York for the past 2 years. And I work with teenagers and young adults, transforming them into secure people, into confident people that know what they want and are willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. I've seen that in myself because I myself had like have a different mindset from my family, from people around me, and I do believe that we have to live a life with purpose. I always knew I wanted to act, but I didn't have the tools growing up to believe more in myself and realize that what others say might come from a good place because I was lucky enough to come from a good family, good group of friends, but what they say just reflects their reality and how they want to protect me through their reality. It's not necessarily something to do with me or my vision, but it is important to give that confidence to the next generation and also explore ways on how they can have a better relationship with their parents without having that friction of what do I do? You're not listening. There can be a better relationship as and they can keep growing to be who they know they can be.
Thank you, Joshua. Cindy.
Hi, everyone. I am originally from Canada, but I am in Costa Rica now. So I just had to giggle when Josh said that. I'm not a parent. I do work with parents. But I had the unfortunate experience of coming from a multi-generations of not good parenting and have done a lot of work in myself to heal that. And I'm now an embodiment coach and I support other people, specifically women that are in the healthcare space who are stuck in the overgiving because so many women as natural givers and nurturers, we can get into a loop of just overgiving and putting ourselves last on our very long to-do list. And so what I do is I help women who know what they want out of life go from knowing to living the life that they want to be living. And that may include, being a mother and fully embodying the role of being a mother and all of the other roles that they play, while also ensuring to keep themselves on the list of who they care about and taking care of their own needs. And what I'm really interested in is getting involved with more people who are in the nonprofit space, because I do believe that there's lots of helping professionals in that space that fit the bill of the women that I want to be working with. And this world needs givers more now than ever. And unfortunately, they're burning out. And so if we can support these people to stay in those roles because they've been naturally called to those roles, we can support them and give them the tools that they need to support themselves. They can continue to do the work that they're passionate about and that they're called to do.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And since you said you are from Canada, but you're originally from Canada, but you're in Costa Rica, I'm going to piggyback off of that and say that I'm originally from Florida, but I'm currently in Canada. So,
nice.
So with that being
we're
said,
all just trading
Tina,
places. That's perfect.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like one of those beach volleyball things that you're just throwing that ball to the next person.
Love it.
Very cool. Tina, I do want to have an opportunity to introduce you as well. And Ashley, if you are able and someplace that you can communicate, we would love to have you with us as well. But we totally respect your privacy as well. Go ahead, Tina. You're okay? Here we go. Okay. All right. That's fine.
Okay, I
So
got it. I got it. I didn't know how to
great.
unmute. I'm on my phone and I don't do this very
Yeah.
often. I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my work is coaching parents on challenging child behavior, and I have some specialty in dealing with trauma and helping parents who are raising kids with trauma. Right now, I'm working with two sisters who have their two great grandnephews, 7 and 8, living with them, and both highly traumatized kids. And so it's the most rewarding work in the world because I can help them. It's just so amazing how. And I had a pretty traumatizing childhood too, and so I can sort of see into the heart of the child kind of readily when they tell me the story. And I just know how to aim my arrows after 26 years of coaching parents. And I've trained 850 worldwide to be coaches as well. And just knowing people from other parts of the world and watching them, they're friends with me on Facebook, many of them, and watching them just rock it in their world. It's just so much fun to see it all happening in Greece and Estonia and Ghana and all over the world. So yeah, just loving that. Thank you. I don't know how to mute now. I'll figure it out.
Got it. Awesome. Awesome. And Ashley, if you're able to unmute yourself, we would love for you to introduce yourself and how you came to the Foundation Information Call meeting today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley Lejeune, and I'm a parent to 6 kiddos. And I also work in community in a variety of facets. I'm a doula and a lactation specialist. And then I also work in systems change. So I do a lot of advocacy for all of the supports that families need, everything from food security to WIC to all of those different supports that kind of help families out. And so I sit on a lot of different boards and committees, and I have had some grants to do some parent leadership workshops and some workshops regarding like the connection between food and well-being and that connection. And so just a bunch of different spaces that I sit in, but my focus is just making sure that families have the supports that they need to thrive. And so that's through direct service and then some of that systems change work. And how did I find out about this? I have no idea. In an email somewhere from someone, and the topic sounded interesting. I'm in a bunch of different spaces, and my word this year is yes. And so I said yes, and I showed up, and here I am.
I'm glad you're here. You're in the right place for sure. I'm sure all of you by now have recognized that there's this common thread. You all serve families, you're all heart-centered, and I know that you all have this mission to do something that outlasts and outlives you, in the sense that you believe that your mission is more important than just your current business, basically. And with that in mind, I want to kind of backtrack and to let you know that, well, if you don't know me already, my name is Ali Lankrani. I go by Dr. L, the parent whisperer in the online world. I'm the founder of a company called Role Model Maker International. This is its 10th year since its inception. But over the past 2, 3 years, as I've been more involved with things like United Nations and the governance and public space, I've realized that many of us have chosen to do what we do because we were in a box and we were realizing that working within that box has its limitations and it prevents us from getting the results that we know we can get by being able to fully share our expertise in raising awareness and support for families. So many of us have stepped out of the box to be able to deliver that. And in doing so, we spend a lot of time trying to explain ourselves and define ourselves and find our right people and all of that stuff. And I think that resonates with a lot of you. And over the past 3 years, I realized that some of this has to do with the way the system is set up. So it was important for us to show up in places like UN and Capitol Hill and those kind of places to actually talk to the people who make policy, so that they become more aware of our side of things and make sure that that is incorporated when it comes to policy making so that your job and your peers' job becomes a little bit easier. But in doing so, that also elevated my awareness about some of the other things that are, I know, important to you and to me. And yet, when you are in business, you kind of forget about or you lose sight of it. So that's why we ended up creating this thing called the Foundation for Optimal Beginning, the nonprofit organization that we now have as our community, that actually is separate from Role Model Maker, which is a for-profit company dedicated to really the public space, the social development, and the support of families that oftentimes might not necessarily be profitable directly, but it is nevertheless important. And with its visibility, you also can end up being more profitable business wise. So they go hand in hand. So you need to have both. It's not like, what should I be in this space or the other space? You actually need to be in both spaces. So the nonprofit organization that we launched in the course of now a year and a half, yeah, a year and a half that we have been operating, we have achieved some really interesting milestones that I didn't think was possible. And it's all thanks to the community, such as yourself, that have gotten involved with it. So, starting this summer, I actually started launching this monthly session called the Foundation for Optimal Beginnings Programs Information Call. So, you guys, by virtue of registering and coming to this session, are now considered friends of Foundation. Sorry. So, I'm going to be sending you these notifications to let you guys know, because things are morphing and changing and expanding really rapidly. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like, aside from our board of directors, we actually ended up having a community called the Changemaker Circle that now is very active. We now have launched three. Well, we have completed 2 Tanzania missions, and while I'm sitting here in Toronto, the third Tanzania mission is happening in Tanzania. So that was our first pilot project. When I described what we were doing there and what we have been involved with on the Role Model Maker, it was interesting enough that we actually got special accreditation from the United Nations. And so we were invited to come to the second World Summit on Social Development back in November before all the craziness in the Middle East. So I actually went there to that meeting, and about a week before the travel, they sent this information out that if you're interested in making a presentation about your case of how, different things on social development, submit a proposal. I didn't think we are going to get in. We submitted a proposal, and you can imagine there's literally hundreds of NGOs and nonprofits with deep pockets. Some of them have been established for decades, very prominent. And we actually got accreditation to hold a side event at the United Nations in Qatar. And we actually presented, and we had 118 different organizations and NGOs that actually registered and expressed interest in it. So the presentation that we had was regarding a solution session. Basically, uh, this thing that we called, and I was working with the International Organization on African Development for about 2 years before this event. About how to bring healthcare to the continent of Africa in a way that was different than business as usual, meaning that you don't want the big pharma and the big industries from global north coming in to save the day over there and then profiting and then leaving the place just as impoverished as before and now even more dependent on the global north. So we wanted to kind of change the dynamics of it so that it's a support, inspiration, and empowerment of the local community. But so meaning that we were going there as equal partners, as people that were interested in supporting where the local population would express interest in us offering support, basically. So that's where the Tanzania mission comes in, because over the past 2 years, what we had done was we have participated with various NGOs and different nonprofit organizations in Tanzania, and we have seen more and more organizations within the country that has expressed interest. There was even some government officials that they said, "Hey, some of the stuff you're talking about needs to be part of our national education curriculum." So we are actually in the process of doing that. We worked with entrepreneurs there, women entrepreneurs there that are bringing livelihood to their neighborhoods, middle school girls that needed public health and education and also public awareness. There's an orphanage that we're working with, and kind of the list kind of is constantly expanding. And there is a lot of need. So whichever expertise that you guys just described, if I present it over there, chances are there is somebody that is in need of that. And like it's like wonderful compared to North America when it almost feels salesy, where you have to kind of really push to get your information out to the people because they're bombarded with information over in most of the world. They're really hungry for this information. They really could use it to empower themselves and do something with it. And through that process, we also learned a lot as well about how to support better, things that we could do differently, to even change your curriculum to fit the local populations better. So it was a very dynamic process. And so we presented this in our mission report, and then we invited people to have constructive dialogue every month thereafter. So the very first thing that happened was we started having these monthly sessions called solution sessions and mission report. And not only were we reporting on the Tanzania mission, but we also started asking a lot of the NGOs to come in and raise our awareness about what's going on in your world, basically. What are the challenges? What are you looking for? And do a presentation for us. So we've had some of these people that you see in my background, from domestic violence to all kinds of other stuff, that have presented at the solution session mission reports. That happens monthly, and Alicia is going to give you the details of it, but it happens like on the Tuesday, the first or second Tuesday of each month, basically. So we have that. So I would love to invite you guys, and if you ever see that, the next one is on August 4th, which is the Integration Pods Solution Session and FFOB Mission Report. So you come over there, it's kind of like a collaboration call where you get to hear about presentations, you get to hear updates, and you stay tuned with the latest social development projects that people are focused on, whether they're part of our organization or other organizations. We want to create a space for that dialogue. So it's a great place to come meet new players and also existing stakeholders. So that is something that we do on a regular basis. Thank you, Alicia, for putting the link in the chat. And I do, on that note, do want to also acknowledge our Philippines team. So Renz, Alicia, and Renee, any of the informations, invitations, Zoom links, all the stuff that you have received from us is from our Philippines team. That in itself is also an integration project, because we figured out that if there is a way to utilize the skills and services of various people in different parts of the world, then it's a win for them. And then it's also a win for you, because you can get more done, and also we can serve our audience and families better as well. So that is the pilot thing that I never mentioned to anybody, but over the years, it has always been my dream to have these centers in different places. I've explored them in Guyana, South Africa, India, but currently all of my team is based out of Philippines, and they do a wonderful job. So I definitely want to give them lots of love and recognition for all the stuff that they do for us. So that being said, the integration pod is the original place where this thing happened. But alongside that, while we were applying for this UN meeting, the other thing that happened was I started launching two programs. One of them I already mentioned to you, the Changemaker Circle, which is for speakers and entrepreneurs and people that would like to create a social development project, something that goes beyond business. You can utilize our nonprofit organization, so you don't have to go ahead and set up all of your little details about setting up the establish. So like we can do that. And you can also utilize our partnerships. We actually have partnerships that have been around for decades. They have built contact points, and they have some credibility. So when it comes to securing funding, when it comes to finding partnerships and sponsors, these people are known. So it's a lot easier to put them forward and then subcontract the project to us, basically. So these are ways that we can actually work with bigger players, and you guys don't have to figure all of those nuances and the details, but we can actually create a social project for you that actually makes your community or your mission more meaningful and visible, basically, in the world. So that's something that I do want to mention to you. So I mentioned the Tanzania mission. We are also currently launching two additional pilot programs. One is the Congo pilot project, which has a public health component and health education component, and to combat Ebola, and also the outbreaks and making sure that it's minimized. We had a professor actually from World Health Organization that was in one of the solution sessions. And when I asked them, like, all right, so what do you think people should know? It's like the doctors already know that there's nothing new about this. What needs to be done differently, and he said we've been saying it for decades, is that there needs to be a motion for civil society and the public to actually do something. We need to empower the public. And that comes through education, awareness, empowerment, and that's where we come in. We're good at that, basically, based on things that you already have described. We're empowered, we're capacity builders for families. So if you build capacity for families, they can take care of their own communities, basically. So in that sense, we decided to create a pilot program for that. And of course, the other one that is very close to my heart is the Afghanistan pilot project, which is for empowerment and inspiration of women to have more social integration into the community, as well as for the girls to have access to education and be able to participate in a bigger way and be more empowered in making a difference in their communities. I think about 3 or 4 years ago, right before October 7th, I actually did an event based out of Azerbaijan in the Middle East, where I talked about the importance of role of female leadership and how it seems to be completely absent in the Middle East. And maybe if we have a more balanced view in the Middle East, then perhaps we wouldn't have so much chaos and so much violence because we would have the female perspective, and that would be a little bit more encompassing, basically. So that being said, so we have the Afghanistan pilot project. So if you're interested in any of those pilot projects, Tanzania, Congo, Afghanistan, or if you would like to uh, offer a solution, offer a possible mission that we could make as part of our uh, integration pods, then what I invite you to do is we actually do have a integration pod project session that happens usually on the Wednesday after the solution session. And the reason I say this is because solution session is for dialogue. But if you only come to the solution session and you only do dialogue, eventually you might get disheartened that all we do is talk, we never do anything. And I want to make sure that that is not going to be the case. Many people object to United Nations being a place that doesn't do anything. And I oftentimes explain the situation that the United Nations was created simply to hold space for dialogue because it didn't exist before. The United Nations does not have an enforcement body. The enforcement body of United Nations is actually the individual member states and civil society. So if people ever get upset or frustrated with why United Nations doesn't do enough, it's because we need more involvement from civil society to take the resolutions that United Nations passes and actually implement them on the ground in locally. So there's a level of activism that is involved with that. So our integration pods is designed to address that in a kind of systematic and organized way. That if there is something that's upsetting you or you would like to see change in the world for the better, then coming to the pilot project sessions is the place where we actually go ahead and try to create rapid deployment care packets. So we know what the resources are from our community. We have about 1,000 members within the community, actually over 1,000 members at this point. So we know what each person does because they're part of our directory. So we kind of inventorize the skill sets, the knowledge, the connections, the locations, and then when people come to the integration project meeting, if they let us know based on surveys and questionnaires that they have there what their challenges are, we can really quickly figure out and put together a packet of different skill sets and contact people that could be utilized as resources. And as we grow within the foundation, we might even have access to microloans and funders and sponsors and things like that as well. So if you would like to be part of the doers, basically, come to those, and Alicia can give you the details of the integration pilot project. So not to be mistaken with the solution session and mission report. So Alicia, if you can put the date and time of the next one in the chat, I believe if this one is August 4th, then the next one would be August 5th, but I might be mistaken on that. So, so I'm going to wait for Alicia to put that in. And let me just make sure. Resolution session. Yep. So I think she's searching for that. Okay. So with those two being said, if you're sitting here right now and you're like, this sounds great, I would love to get involved. A lot of times the next question is, but I don't know how. So that's where the Changemaker Circle comes in. So last year we launched another pilot project called the Changemaker Circle. The goal of it was to not only raise funds for the foundation, but also to learn by practice, by doing. And we gained really valuable insight and experience on the what people's weaknesses were, what their questions and troubles were, in order to be able to be more effective in raising awareness, in being able to raise funds, in being able to launch a project, in being able to update and gather their sponsors and partners and donors and things like that. So as we learned those and found the contacts within our community, this year we revised that. So now we actually have the new Changemaker Circle for the and by the way, our programs run the academic year. So basically, they start in August and they end in June, basically. So the Changemaker Circle this year, starting next month, that links take you to July 4th and can register. So Alicia, please, yeah. So we probably need to add additional dates to that one so that they're all listed. But yeah. So, but just mark it that is August 12th, and we'll address the link to make sure that you can do the registration for that as well. Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me know, and thank you, Cindy, for checking it out and making sure that the links work. All right. So the Changemaker Circle is something that is going to give you guys 4 different types of training, starting with how to locate and raise funds through sponsorships, partnerships, and donations. And there is a difference between those 3. So you need to know what those are and how the conversation goes with each of them and how to create a system. Now, we've already created the system. So part of what changemakers do is they're actually going to go ahead and implement and do this stuff each month. So it's a monthly meeting. All of these are monthly meetings, basically. So once a month, but then the rest of the month, you basically kind of do your homework, basically, or do the stuff that you learn. Either you watch a video and then you do it, or we talk about it and then you do it, something like that. But so the first training is that. The second training is revolving around the metrics and also how to speak to public officials. If you meet this mayor of your county or city, how do you push your agenda? How do you bring it forward? If you meet a senator, if you meet a diplomat, let's say, for instance, you want to do something in Costa Rica. If I put you in front of the president, or if I put you in front of the ambassador from Costa Rica, how do you open that conversation? How do you go ahead? So the training is for that, for you to kind of start understanding the lingo and how to go about having those kind of conversations, which has key phrases and keywords that shows that you're not there as a lobbyist just pushing your agenda, because as they're busy, and as soon as you do that, the wall goes up, because they're not there to please lobby groups. They're interested in what all the pressures that on them. And anyways, so there's a whole science to that. I do want to make sure that you come to those training sessions. But also the other part is metrics, because if you're looking, whether it's funding, whether it is public officials, whether it is universities and institutions that you want to partner up with, they need to have real numbers. Like, we started and we had 70% poverty here, and we brought it down to 50%. Or we had 14 families, and by the end of it, these 14 families, 3 of them ended up being able to do whatever, right? So these kind of numbers become important. So we're going to talk about and train on how to create metrics for your projects as well. Really, really important stuff. And then the other training that we have is regarding grant writing and securing public funding. We have a professor from Oxford that is going to be doing that next year in spring with you guys. A very, very powerful, well-connected person. All these people that I'm talking about, they have extended decades-long history of doing the stuff that they're teaching you guys. So, but then as you notice, there's only 3 or 4 of these. And there's another one which I haven't pinned down, so I'm not going to announce it yet. I might mention it next month at the info call. But then between these sessions is the implementation session. Okay, what we learned, what are we going to do to implement the stuff that, Susan said at the last session, basically. And then what do we need to do to prepare for the next training that's coming up, right? So we're going to spend a couple of months recapping the stuff that we learned and then preparing for the next one. So we're going to have a few months on each topic that we focus on to make sure we implement it so that it's systematized and we move forward, not only our projects, but yours. So when you're part of the Changemaker Circle, yes, you're helping the foundation, but you're also learning through the process. And if you have a project, that project also becomes qualified for funding as well. So when we get at the end of the academic year, the board votes on which ones to focus on and do it. But in order for you to be nominated, you have to be part of the Changemaker Circle and have done the homework basically for it. Because when we fund the project, we want a project that is viable, that has the basic training and the foundation necessary to get results, because those results will also reflect good on us. And we have metrics for that. And we want to present those at the United Nations, right? So it's built into one another. So that being said, that's the Changemaker Circle. If you like to register, it has an annual membership. It's not expensive at all, given how much involvement and training is included in there. It's basically $500 a year or $50 a month, basically. I'll have Alicia give you the link for that one. That's called the Changemaker Circle. And the first session of that is going to be the third Tuesday of August. So that's that. Now, some of you mentioned also that you work with youth. So pay attention to the next thing that I'm going to mention. So we do have 2 programs because it's very big. And I was part of the Summit of the Future 2 years ago at United Nations. And the common theme is that they do not the next generation does not need representation, that does not need to be spoken for at the table. They need to have a seat at the table. So in order for them to have a seat at the table, they need to have the same stuff that we are talking about in Changemaker Circle, meaning that they need to be empowered, they need to be supported, they need to be inspired, right? And many times when you talk to the younger generation, they feel intimidated because here are these big wigs, and they're like, well, this guy has been around for decades and is an expert and has a PhD. Who am I to say it? But they don't realize the power of their creativity and imagination and the energy that they have and what they bring to the table with a new way and a new perspective of looking at things without experience getting in the way. So youth empowerment is huge. And we have a program called the Youth Internship. It is designed for the youth leaders to ages 10 to 20 years of age. We ran the pilot program last year. We had 5 interns in there, one from Vietnam, one from Australia, one from Mexico, and 2 from US. And they basically went from understanding who they are as a person, what their gifts and skill sets are, what they're passionate about, and then identifying what problems exist in their communities, designing a program around it, and then launching a project. And the finale was a Shark Tank style presentation that they made in front of a board and the community, where they actually presented their projects and they asked for funding and support and feedback. It was a great experience. I encourage you guys to be there next year to witness this. And then they did. They did raise funds. We had some winners. They also got some resources and contact people that would like to consult them. So it's a great opportunity to have a win-win-win situation in that sense. And we're looking for more youth interns for this year as well. And the youth interns from last year are going to be invited to do peer coaching this year to build on their stuff and also to be able to systematize the same stuff that we're doing in Changemaker Circle. So they're kind of graduating from the youth internship to the Changemaker Circle and doing this very same things, finding sponsors and partners and stuff alongside with us while coaching the new interns as well. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. But the youth internship program is something that also starts in August with an introduction session. And then in September, it really takes effect. But we are currently taking applicants and registrants for that. If anybody's interested, please ask them to send a note to team.ffob@gmail.com. That is the email account for the foundation. I'll have Alicia put that in the chat for you as well. So if you ever want to introduce somebody you think that would be a good fit as a partner, as somebody who's a benefactor, or somebody that might be interested in our programs, that would be a great way to make that introduction. Team.ffob@gmail.com. And that way we can go ahead and respond to them and get them to get them the information that they need. We also do have some volunteer opportunities in the United States. Many high schoolers do need volunteer hours for graduation. Because we are a 501c3 organization, we are in the position to offer those volunteer opportunities to them. So if there are kids that you know in high school that are looking for hours, they can definitely help support us, support families, and in the process, also get their volunteer hours as well. So just something else that we offer, and just wanted to mention that this all happened in a year and a half. So, so who knows where we're going to be by the end of next year as we are launching two new projects and these programs are kind of more dialed in. But you guys are right there at the ground floor to get involved with these and invite you guys to kind of partner up with us and join us at these sessions and we grow together. Any questions on anything? Thanks, Dr. Mark. All good? Cindy, yes.
I'm just curious about any like opportunities for mentorship. Like I could see myself like stepping in a mentorship sort of way, and is there any opportunity for that, or where might that fit?
Right. So I think I mentioned this to Joshua as well. That last year during the pilot program, there we had a few sessions for the youth interns where either I was traveling or I wanted a different perspective on a certain topic. And I ended up bringing a speaker in to present at that session, basically. The youth interns have weekly meetings, usually on Monday evenings. So I can have that conversation separately and if any of you think you would be a good fit for internship or mentorship, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to have that conversation with you as well. And since you mentioned this, something else came. I have ADHD, so another thing that came
That's
to my
okay.
mind is Changemaker Circle. This year is going to have some new feature, which is part of our program this year is by the end of the year, we want to make sure that we create a retreat. Right now, it seems to be happening in Costa Rica. So you guys are the very first ones
Oh,
to be
darn it.
hearing about this. So our goal is to basically bring our community together and not just our community, but families as well. So there's an opportunity for us to kind of learn, to grow together, to break bread together, to have fun as well, and basically come together as a community that can bring about change. And during that session, everybody can have a say as far as what the Changemaker Circle for 27, 28 would look like, and they can design the program at the retreat together. I'm still playing
Okay.
around with the possibility of having it as a hybrid event, but I really would like to kind of step out of this Zoom box for a change. I've been calling for it since literally 2021 that,
Mhm.
neurologically, this is not good for us. And I usually take the step to go and meet people. But a lot of people have gotten into the comfort zone of just, opening the computer and just meeting people that way. And that's great. You can scale that, but we do still need to meet people in person. And there is something magical that happens at real meetings where you have the session adjourns, and where most people are hitting the leave button on Zoom, that's where the real magic starts beginning, because people go for coffee or have lunch together or after hours. And, there are just magical conversations that really bring people together. And that's where the real projects and collaborations happen. So I want that for our community.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I've been traveling for the last year, and community is what I'm longing for. And so that's why I've come to Costa Rica to connect with more like-minded people. And it's interesting that you said retreat. I didn't mention anything to do with that. I actually am at a retreat center right now. And so I'm curious if you picked a retreat space or what have you. I'm currently connecting with retreat leaders and spaces. And so maybe we can have another conversation offline and see what that might look like. And I'd love to support in any way, if it's just taking part or being there or whatever, even if it's just passing along the contact.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's going to be part of our ongoing preparation and presentation at the Changemaker Circle, meaning that starting from month one, we're going to start kind of building towards that goal, that by July of next year, we're going to all be together. So we'll figure out all the details together. And I think that in itself is a valuable experience. I've been part of teams of in-person events. There's a lot that goes into that, and that knowledge and skill is also important for anybody who's planning to, even within their own community, hold in-person stuff. So would love to do that, as include that as part of our Changemaker Circle program. Okay.
Right. How would you like me to connect with you on that?
Yeah. So, Alicia, if you could put my calendar link in the chat as well. If you guys basically would like to discuss any of the stuff that I mentioned with you further, do check the links, because many of them have MOUs and videos and additional information there. But if you would like to discuss your part in any of these, please let me know. We have also additional forms and surveys that can help us know exactly what you're bringing to the table, so that I can better place things in front of the board of directors and in front of the family circle community. Many of you are part of that community as well. But that one is the speaker entrepreneurs. So that's more business collaboration and networking. So, but yeah, um, so that's that. All good. I hope I did not confuse everybody in the process, because there's way too much that I just covered. Also, give me feedback, because this was actually the very first info call that I'm holding for the programs. So if this was too much, I can dial it down. If there is something that you need, perhaps I could give you also something called the cheat sheet that we have, which actually lists all of these meetings as far as how they're arranged in the month and their time. So if you're planning to be a regular foundation member, then you know when they're happening, so you're not double booking yourself. So that might be helpful. So that would be a good thing to share probably as well. Okay.
Maybe also
Um,
because there are because it's a lot of information. Also, I think it would be a good idea to have a few slides with the key points.
I love that. Thank you, Joshua. Yeah, and I really should actually go ahead and put the flyers up. We do have materials. I just never thought of putting those up while I'm discussing this, because I figured you like my pretty face better than flyers. But you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct that I do need to put those up, because some people are visual, and just hearing me ramble on for an hour could be overwhelming. So yes, if you want to actually see some of these details, there is a link that you could go to. It's our donation link. But the part where it says get involved gives you the flyer. So it's called rolemodelmaker.com/donations, I believe. Alicia can give you the actual link. And that link will give you the donation site. And also, there is a button that says get involved. So if you click on get involved, you'll get the flyer with all the different programs in there as well. So you could check that as well. And save that link, because we always, like any other nonprofit organization, are looking for support through funding. And if you're going to be part of Changemaker Circle, you're going to need it anyways. So please have that link ready so that we can go ahead and put that out there. This is something that you can very easily, anytime you're running an event, put next to your events and say we're also supporting a Foundation for Optimal Beginnings that supports families, and that way you can also do that. The recording of this will be sent to the registrants. So yes, so if you have registered for this, I mentioned you're going to become Friends of Foundation. So you'll be receiving the recordings as well as the upcoming invitations and new information that we share during these sessions. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Amelia, it's
Dr.
good to see you.
You also mentioned
Yes.
surveys and that type of stuff to give you a better idea of where you could be placed. So could you also share those? Because I think that'd be helpful for us to.
Yeah, I usually save those for specific meetings. So, for instance, if you're coming to a solution session and you tell me, "Hey, you know what? I would like to do a presentation for and during the constructive dialogue," then I give you a questionnaire about the details of it so we can prepare and make sure that it's presented properly. If you come to the pilot projects session, we have a different survey asking you about what the needs are for the mission or the pilot program that you have in mind. So we know. And also, if people are coming in as contributors, we want to know what are they bringing to the table, so we can inventorize that as well and kind of pair people better. So we're kind of trying to systematize this for the people who are coming in looking for stuff and for people who are coming in trying to contribute, so that we can pair people better. And I will share it, but I usually don't share all of it here because then it's going to get way too confusing. My invitation or my recommendation is to come to some of these sessions and then based on what you hear there, decides if that's something that you would like to be more involved with, and then grab the questionnaires and the surveys that we pass out during those sessions.
And just a little word, if you do slides, we can still see your pretty face, just depending on how the presentation goes.
You're correct. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for giving me reassurance.
You're welcome.
Very cool. All right. That's all I had for you guys. I really appreciate the fact that you came. You listened and stayed all the way to this point. And if you don't have any further questions, I give you your time back. But I really think that together we can achieve a lot more. And sometimes we just need to do different parts of the whole so that we can achieve that greater whole together instead of trying everything do it yourself. I know as entrepreneurs, we try to solve every problem ourselves, but over the past 4 years, I've realized that there's no way I could have achieved and do all that I do if it wasn't for our Philippine team, if it wasn't for the family circle community and amazing individuals like yourselves that are involved with the nonprofit organization. All of it has been through word of mouth and referral and active participation. So I encourage you guys to continue that. And thank you for what you do already. So thank you.
Thank you too for all you do. Oh, it's just amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cheers. Yeah.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.